This is CBC Here and Now.
Heart trouble. Eastern Health is struggling to keep up with the demand for cardiac care. Coming up on Here and Now.
An area of low pressure sticks around this weekend. Rain and even some snow in the forecast.
Municipal leaders here on the French shore of the Northern Peninsula say their communities are being put at risk due to prolonged telephone outages.
We need somebody to step in so we don't lose our emergency services.
We'll have that story coming up.
Good evening. Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Eastern Health is relying on surgeons from Ottawa to relieve a shortage of doctors performing heart surgery in this province.
The health authority says it's working hard to meet the high demand for cardiac surgeries and procedures, with hundreds of Newfoundland and Labrador patients on wait lists. Here Now's Mark Quinn has the details.
Eastern Health has lost 3 heart surgeons since the beginning of the pandemic. One moved to a new position in 2020. One resigned in 2021, and a third has tendered his resignation effective at the end of May. The health authority also says that the position of Chief of Cardiac Surgery at Eastern Health is currently unfilled, and recruitment for this position is ongoing. The authority says there are now 3 surgeons performing cardiac surgery at the Health Sciences Centre. CBC News has learned that the doctor who's leaving at the end of May is the health authority's Chief of Cardiac Surgery, Dr. Daniel Lodge. Both Lodge and another surgeon who left earlier, Dr. Corey Adams, were MUN graduates. The health authority says it's growing its partnership with the University of Ottawa Heart Institute to assist with meeting this province's high demand for cardiac surgery. Since December 2020, 4 senior surgeons from the Ottawa Heart Institute have been performing surgeries in St. John's on a rotating basis. Eastern Health says that on average, 9 heart surgeries are performed each week. The wait list for heart surgery is long. As of April 17th, there were 148 patients waiting for cardiac surgery, 26 patients waiting for transcatheter aortic valve implantation, and 573 on the list for cardiac catheterization. The health authority says there's been no change to its practice of sending some patients out of province for cardiac care. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
A big change announced today for the Consumers Health Awareness Network of NL, better known as Channel. The mental health organization is changing its brand and from now on will operate under the name Lifewise Mental Health Peer Services. With the name change, the organization hopes to modernize its brand and place greater focus on its main mission, that's peer support. People with mental health and addictions issues run Lifewise. The executive director says its purpose is now better reflected in the name. Lifewise's services will remain the same. That includes workshops and the Warm Line phone support network.
Everybody here, from our executive director to every frontline worker, we all have a mental health or addiction issue that we have lived through, that we are now managing at a really good level of recovery so that we can be trained in and learn how to support people.
We wanted to emphasize our life, our experience, and the wisdom that that imparts. The fact that if someone came to me and spoke about sitting on the end of the bed and feeling as though they didn't know how to go about their day, or if they were worthy to go about their day, that nothing I've learned in a book is going to help me support them and be for them, there for them in that moment. It's my lived experience. It's going to be there. And I think when you break apart the word, that is how I am life-wise.
Well, a pretty lovely day again for most of the eastern half of the island, but we do have some rain working its way in for Burin Peninsula as well as parts of central. Rain extending through the west coast as well, and then snow the story up across Labrador. So what's going on is we've got an area of low pressure over Nova Scotia at the moment. And it's bringing in some of that colder air to the north, and we're actually seeing some snow for parts of New Brunswick, and that is what's going to head our way over, well, through the weekend really. It's going to get blocked just to the south of us. And as it continues, we're going to continue to see that snow up across Labrador through the night tonight. Even some of the higher elevations may start to see some snow on the west coast. And we'll generally continue through a good chunk of the afternoon tomorrow. As we get into Saturday, some more rain, even the potential for snow for parts of the island. And then that rain will push further west across parts of Labrador. I will have the full forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, power outages can be scary enough in communities off the beaten path, but when phone lines go down as well, that feeling of isolation can be amplified. On the eastern shore of the Northern Peninsula, towns say they are at risk. Here now's Troy Turner explains.
They're more than 70 kilometers removed from the main highway on the Northern Peninsula. So when there's a power outage in the towns of Roddickton-Bydarm and Englee, people can feel extremely isolated. That sense of distance is amplified when there are no phone services.
Every time we would have a prolonged power outage, if the outage is out more than an hour and a half, we will lose everything. We lose our cell phone services, we lose our landlines. And I'm told we also lose the radio services. The dispatch radios do not work. So it is a very grave issue for our area.
Damas, who's been on council for almost a decade, says this past winter the phone services disrupted at least 3 times.
You've had landlines for generations, and the landline was always your heart line. It connected you to the rest of the world. And when we lose our landlines, we have lost a vital heartbeat to the rest of Canada and to the rest of the world. And we need that heartbeat to be beating every single moment of every single day.
17 kilometers away, Englee is going through the same thing. For them, however, the issue is compounded.
No communication, like our hospital is in Roddickton, our ambulance is in Roddickton. If we can't call out, we can't reach any emergency services. Our RCMP is in Roddickton.
Fillier is worried it will take a tragedy before they see a permanent fix.
Middle of winter, if it's a storm, you can't reach anybody. What happens if a house catches on fire? We can't call our fire department. Our fire department can't go in. It could be detrimental. It could be tragic. I mean, you can't even call an ambulance if someone took sick. You'd have to, if you knew about it, you'd have to put them in a vehicle and try to make it to the hospital because there's no way to reach ambulance services. It's just not safe. There's going to be a tragedy if it doesn't get fixed soon.
Bell Alliant, the service provider, wouldn't do an interview. In an emailed statement, the company said it is now in the process of upgrading its network in the area with newer technology and additional battery capacity. Both councils say they're writing Bell as well as provincial politicians with the hopes the issue will be resolved before the next outage. Troy Turner, CBC News, Roddickton-Bydarm.
To Labrador now, the town of Wabush is asking the province to help reopen the rec centre. Last night, residents met at a closed-door meeting with their mayor and town councillors. One topic on the agenda, the status of the idled Mike Adams Recreation Complex. Labrador City has proposed amalgamation. Wabush wants the province to weigh in. Here now's Daryl Dinn has that story.
Only residents of Wabush were allowed to attend the meeting about the Mike Adams Recreation Complex to discuss ways of reopening the facility. It was closed in January because of lack of money to operate it. Labrador City says it's willing to help financially, but only if Wabush residents can vote on the two towns amalgamating.
Listen, we asked for help for recreation. We didn't want our town taken over.
After the meeting, some residents were hopeful of the plan to pursue regionalization. Others just want a solution that will reopen the rec centre as soon as possible, regardless of what it is.
I have to say that there was one good thing that I saw coming out of the meeting tonight, and that's that Council has agreed to look at regionalization of not just the mark, but of recreation as a whole. And also they were asked if they would be interested in looking at other duplicate services.
Others felt the two towns need to come together.
I think we need to set aside this Labrador City Wabush thing. I was born in Labrador City and raised in Labrador City. I've been a homeowner in Wabush. I'm from Lab West. This needs to be open for the communities.
We do feel for them. We explain why the rec center shut down and what we did over the last number of months and over the last number of years, really, on trying to keep the facility open. There are further discussions happening, and we alluded that to the residents that came out tonight, that we haven't given up on the rec center. We're still trying to keep this place open.
Wabush has had meetings with the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs for help, hoping the government can ask for a mediator between Labrador City and Wabush regarding regionalization of the rec center. But that's different than amalgamation. The province defines that regionalization is not amalgamation. Amalgamation is the process of uniting one or more communities into a new local governance structure. Regionalization is several communities working collaboratively together to provide services. That's already happening in some cases, such as the Labrador West Regional Landfill.
Well, I know all of our council, when we met with the minister, that's what everybody said. We were unanimous in stating that regionalization is what we want, or what we're looking to get.
Many residents miss the use of the swimming pool, gym, and bowling alley. There's no timeline to when mediations will happen or when the rec center will reopen again. Daryl Din, CBC News, Wabush.
A judge in the province has received a promotion. Rosalie McGraw will leave her current position at the Supreme Court of Newfoundland and Labrador to become second in command there. The Prime Minister announced this morning that McGraw is the new Associate Chief Justice. The Chief Justice and Associate Chief Justices oversee their courts. McGraw was named to the province's Supreme Court in 2012. We are in the town of Paradise, and I would like you to use your imagination and think back 100 years, a century, to the spring of 1922. None of this pavement was here, the vinyl siding, not here, but there was one house in the area, and it belonged to the Janes family. And that's the place where they welcomed two twin girls into their world, Alice and Mabel. They just celebrated their 100th birthdays, and once you meet them, you will not forget them.
Well, I remember so. What memories have you got? Your memories, what you got? Yeah.
Where were you born?
When?
Where?
March 26th, 1926. 22. Born in Paradise, we're here.
You're born in the house,
Yeah.
not in the hospital.
Old midwife, old Mrs. Drover. She brought the 2% of the world, kicking and slamming. And I had to get rid of her, so I kicked her out and done it again. She needed all more room, see, so she said, enough was enough, get out. We never had a lot of fun. We had to work in the house and in the fields and bury, so we never had no time for nothing, really. We went to school, in a little one-room school in Paradise. We played a lot of hopscotch. We played a lot of hopscotch. We played a lot of hopscotch, yeah. A lot of jacks. Yeah, a lot of jacks. Secrets for being onward. Yeah. Lots of hard work. Hard times. Starvation 3 parts of the time. Half enough of grub. We didn't have it nice and easy when we were growing up. Because of the poor old times. And we had to do it what we had. And we had a family coming together, and we had to make our own bread, cook our own meals, grow our own vegetables. We got to buy our own firewood. Today, people got it too good today. That's what the trouble is. They got too much. If they only had half of what they got now, what we had, they'd be a lot better off. Yeah. No, we worked hard. The best memory I got is when I got my moose license. We always had a gun home, and I could use a gun good. We done a lot of moose hunting, yeah. And every year we'd go in the woods, get our moose. That was a meat.
How does it feel being the last two children left in the family? How does it feel?
It seems lonely. I do. Good to miss all of our family, no one else. You had nobody to talk to, only your own family. But we managed somehow, you know, because only the two of us left. I thought you were going to tell a lie on me. I'd like to be a little bit closer to each other, you know, so as we could fight with each other, if nothing else. Oh, we get time then, I love her because she's the only one's left between both of us. And I think a lot about that. I can visit her, she can visit me. And have a cup of tea together, have a chat, laugh at the good times, and forget the bad times. It's the only way you can take it.
That's delightful.
It really is.
I like the picture of Mabel in her floral dress with the rifle. So you're actually dressed to go moose hunting, Carol. I just realized that. What
Yeah, I guess so.
wonderful story.
Happy birthday once again to Mabel and Alice, sisters, and it seems best friends too. Well, here's a fun time lapse for you. A sunny downtown gets blanketed in fog.
Yeah, and take a look at that fog rolling into the St. John's Harbor just this morning.
Yeah, we caught this on the room's webcam, sped it up for you, but there is a bit more fog in the forecast. Rain as well. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Early bird deadline is midnight, Friday, May 6th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Ashley, I couldn't get over earlier in the show. We had a story from the Northern Peninsula and from Wabush, and it was full-on winter there. The snow was really coming down.
Yeah,
quite a difference.
Quite a difference, yeah. It was
here.
Snow coming down definitely in Labrador, but still tons of snow for the Northern Peninsula. It's going to be a while, I think, before that melts. We're still seeing pictures of snow all the way up to roofs in cabins. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. It'll end soon.
It will, yes. Quite the different story. Obviously, the further east you go today, felt very much like spring out there in that sunshine. But let's take a look at what's going on out there. Lots of cloud cover, though, for the west coast. Same thing for Labrador. As you saw, that snow, that is really going to continue as we head through the night tonight, and then some rain. It is working its way across the eastern areas of the island, but you can see where that sunshine was today. Much welcomed, that's for sure. Now, temperatures did climb up quite nicely through central. That's where the double digits were, 11 to 13 degrees for Gander, Badger. Otherwise, sitting around 7 or 8 degrees for a good chunk of the afternoon today. Up across Labrador, your temperatures again along the coast around -1 to -3, and then Happy Valley, Goose Bay, you reached +1 this afternoon. And if we take a look at what's going on right now, just another shot of the rooms cam, you can see that fog has retreated just a little bit, but those temperatures are now down to about 4 degrees. Winds, not a whole lot to speak of, about 13 kilometers per hour as we speak, but it is feeling a little bit colder, more like 1 degree. Now the temperatures across the island, pretty much steady. Badger, still a beautiful evening. 12 degrees is what you're sitting at right now. And those temperatures across Labrador, 1 degree still in Happy Valley, Goose Bay as well. So taking a look at the forecast for tonight, temperature-wise, they're going to dip quite a bit. Around 1 to 3 degrees is the overnight low, still hovering around 0 degrees for the northern peninsula. The freezing rain has ended, but you're still going to see the potential for some drizzle, which may fall as freezing drizzle as those temperatures dip tonight. Otherwise, not a whole lot of winds. They will be out of the southeast, about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour along the west coast. And then up across Labrador, the coldest temperatures will be for Lab City, but you should actually see that snow end, or will end, as we head through the night tonight. And then the rest of Labrador still looking at that potential for some light snow continuing. Happy Valley, Goose Bay going down to -3 tonight. Now, if we take a look at what's going on right now, we do have that area of low pressure to the west. Lots of snow happening across New Brunswick. Rain, generally the story across Nova Scotia and PEI. But this system, the outer rain bands, is what we're getting right now across the island. So if you zoom in, you can see that rain working its way across the Burin Peninsula and then through central as well. Eventually, we will start to see these showers work their way a little bit further north across the Avalon. We'll say goodbye to that sunshine for a little bit, and then that cloud will be on the increase. So across most of the Big Land, you're still going to look at that snow continuing through the night tonight. Likely in the way of drizzle or freezing drizzle, potentially for the southeast, particularly as the precipitation lightens up a little bit. But overall, higher elevations, even in the morning on the west coast, could see some flurries in the mix. Temperatures will be a bit warmer the further down you go, but it will be a generally unsettled afternoon tomorrow. Likely some sunshine to start, or at least in the afternoon, but then some showers will work their way back in right across the board, particularly for the Avalon, and then eventually through central as we get through the overnight. And then you'll see this rain snow line for the portions of southeastern Labrador. That will continue to push itself further north. So we'll start to see some more rain in the mix as we get into the overnight and Saturday morning. How much snowfall are we talking about? Probably another 5 to 10 centimeters tonight and through tomorrow morning for a good chunk of southeastern Labrador. And then even more so as we head through the day tomorrow. So maybe another 5 to 10 centimeters is certainly possible. Temperatures tomorrow will be a bit, well, pretty much similar to what we're seeing today. Towards the coast, though, they may be a bit cooler, probably closer to the 1-2 degree mark. Similar temperatures as you head towards central and then the west coast as well. There's not a whole lot of movement in those temperatures, especially for the northern peninsula. They may actually be just a bit warmer. Cartwright, you'll sit around 3 degrees tomorrow. Those winds will be out of the north, about 30 to 60 kilometers per hour. And then the temperatures across the rest of the Big Land will be hovering between 0 and -4 with that snow in the forecast. Like I said, it is going to continue, but I'll have those details for the rest of the weekend when I come back.
Imagine moving to St. John's in the middle of the state of emergency that was Snowmageddon, taking on the host job of a local morning show, and from there cascading from crisis to crisis, election to election, and just about every accountability issue you can imagine poked in between. It's a heck of a way to get to know a city and a province, And now my morning show co-host, Ramraj Shervandaran, is getting ready for his next challenge because tomorrow is his very last day here in the four walls of this studio on the St. John's Morning Show. Ramraj, how do you remember that time now?
Honestly, when we kind of dealt with Snowmageddon and that kind of passed, and I wasn't here for Snowmageddon, I was here for the snowbanks that were left over, and then the pandemic hit and it just kept coming and there's things kept happening. I was like, am I the drama? Is it me? Like, are people gonna link all this back to me? But it's just been an adventure. Like, honestly, like, I know it's been difficult for everyone. It's been difficult for me, obviously, but it's getting to tell those stories and getting to share it with everybody here every morning has been the thing that's kept me going, right? There was something about everything that was going on that really brought out people's passions and their ability, and maybe it's just something about Newfoundlanders and their ability to tell stories, but they just came, and everyone just came and gave me such vulnerability, such honesty, and such personal details that I really got to know this place in a different way. You know, when the heat is on, you get to know somebody, and I think I got to know at least this part of the province in a way, in a high pressure situation, and really got to see it shine in a way that I don't know if I would have been able to do if I came at any other time.
I'm gonna put you on the spot because one of the first things you did when you moved here to get to know this place, and I love this so much, you went to Costco. Like, of all the places you could go in St. John's, why Costco?
I just came from a city that didn't have one, and didn't have a lot of grocery options. Like, it was very limited, and so it was Costco, but it was also all the other grocery stores. I'm always curious about the different foods and the different things that are sold in a place, but I really like to kind of get to know a place by seeing where people kind of go when they're not, you know, doing their jobs or, you know, at a social function. You know, when your guard is down, you're just gonna, you know, pick up that laundry detergent or that bag of rice. I love those spaces because I think there's a level of authenticity. I think the way people navigate their day-to-day lives when they think no one's watching, I think is a really honest depiction of a place.
If there's one thing that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians can connect to, it is the place in your heart that home holds. And for you, that is Toronto.
Yeah.
What is it going to be like for you now to go back home for you and start this next chapter?
It's surprisingly hard. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm excited to go back. And yes, there's an element of excitement somewhere in all the logistics, but I don't know. I came to Newfoundland with an open mind of, you know, I want to see where this place takes me. And I got to build a home here with my partner and do things that I never saw myself doing and experience things and live by the ocean. And I feel like, you know, I'm going home in one sense, but I'm also leaving a home that I built behind. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to have to process over the next little while because I feel connected to this place in a way that surprised me because I never felt connected to a place outside of Toronto. A caller called in, I think it was last week, and said, you know, I'm from BC and I moved here and then I moved back home to be with family and then I came back because it just kind of left that mark. And I'm kind of curious if that's going to be my story. I'm not sure if that is going to be my story because family is so important and they are all in Toronto, but it is something that's, you know, clicking in the back of my mind.
Well, I'd ask you what is coming up on the St. John's Morning Show tomorrow, except you don't have a clue, do you?
I don't have any idea, and it's a little worrisome because I don't know how I'm going to react tomorrow, if I'm going to be able to get through the show. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know what's going on.
You bring your tissues.
Yeah, I'm going to bring a towel, basically. Is what I'm going to need.
Towel.
Yeah.
I'm going to be dropping by, and I know lots of other people are going to be tuning in to listen as well. Congratulations, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right, see you then.
Oh, what a great chat. Yeah. And thanks to Chrissy Holmes for that. And good luck, Ramraj.
Yeah, and as you just heard, he's not gone just yet. You can catch Ram's last show tomorrow. So tune in to the St. John's Morning Show on CBC Radio 1 for that.
If, for instance, I had a diabetic patient, then I can refer them to a dietitian to talk about nutrition. I can get them to see the physiotherapist to help them with their mobility, to encourage weight loss.
We've been talking about collaborative clinics, a new model for medicine in this province.
Up next, Here and Now takes you inside one and meets a family doctor who sees the benefits of teaming up. Well, it's one of the biggest changes to healthcare delivery in this province in decades. We'll be seeing collaborative team clinics cropping up around the province. The idea behind clinics like this one here at Pippi Place is that it's a one-stop shop for healthcare. But what does this new model mean for patients and for physicians? Let's go in and find out.
A collaborative team clinic is a primary healthcare model where we work together as a team to serve the people of this province. So we work together with nurse practitioners, physicians, physiotherapists, pharmacists, and a host of other primary healthcare providers to provide services to the patients of this province.
So it's like all under one roof healthcare approach.
Absolutely. So I think we come together as a team to provide a more efficient and more effective healthcare model.
And what were you doing personally before you came to this clinic?
Prior to coming to this clinic, I worked in fee-for-service practice in the West End of St. John's for the last 11 years.
And what was the appeal? Why did you want to come to one of these clinics and leave your practice?
In the COVID-19 pandemic, I actually had the honor and the privilege to work as part of a collaborative team with the COVID response. And I met some really, really great nurses, some nurse practitioners, and we worked together as a team in a collaborative environment. And it really inspired me to transition to this healthcare model because I really saw the benefits of it for the patients and for physicians and other healthcare providers.
Yeah, let's kind of break into that a little bit more. What are the benefits for patients?
I think in a fee-for-service model, I'm kind of siloed. I wear a lot of hats in the same visit, which is often very short. So here in the clinic, if for instance I had a diabetic patient, then I can refer them to a dietitian to talk about nutrition. I can get the pharmacist to teach them glucometer techniques and insulin preparation. I can get them to see the physiotherapist to help them with their mobility to encourage weight loss. They have a social worker that can help with food addictions, food stamps, transportation. And so all of those hats are no longer mine, so I can focus on the patient and the problem at hand, which is the diabetes, and improving the health outcome.
And what about for physicians like you? What are the benefits for coming to a place like this?
I think, you get to wear a different hat. You get to focus on medicine, which is what I'm trained to do. And you get to see different people's opinions. So as you come together as a team, then it's better for the patient. Instead of trying to do everything yourself. And it brings me a better home life balance for myself and my family. Instead of working 16-hour days just to try to get care to the patients in my clinic.
With your practice, you had, your patients there. I know there's been a lot of talk lately about how these clinics work and whether, patients are abandoned by their family physician. Do you know if many of your patients have been able to register over here, or how's that all worked for you?
I would say over half of my patients were actually transitioned to other fee-for-service physicians in the community. The remainder of the patients have registered to the collaborative team and have already been assessed in many cases and had an intake and appointment and been assigned a primary health care provider.
Can we talk about compensation? What's the difference between when you were practicing yourself compared to here?
So this is a full-time salaried position. So in fee-for-service, then the payment is per patient. So here it's a salaried position. So that would be the difference.
Which is more lucrative?
I wouldn't say either. I guess in a fee-for-service model, you can make it as lucrative as you want. You get paid for the patients that you see. Here, you're salaried. So it doesn't matter if I see 100 patients a day. My salary is my salary. But I think as a healthcare provider, we have to focus more on patients and quality care and not the financial endpoint, really.
With a fee-for-service, there is, that incentive there to see more patients because then you make more. Not having that, having like a salaried position, do you find yourself able to spend more time with patients, not having to think about cycling them through?
Absolutely. I think it certainly offers you an opportunity to spend more time with people, to get to know people, to provide them with better health care. At the end of the day, fee-for-service is a business. It's a business model. And there's bills to be paid and overhead to be paid. And so there is a bottom line number of patients that you have to see to make that financially viable. So in a salaried position, then you certainly have more time and more opportunity to spend with patients and to provide, really good care. I think in fee-for-service, there is extremely, extremely good care, but it is sometimes financially driven.
If you don't have that incentive in place, do you end up seeing fewer patients because you're spending more time with the patients that you have?
I think this model will actually hopefully allow me to see more patients because all those hats that I'm wearing, trying to be a social worker, psychiatrist, nutritionist, I have somebody to take those hats for me, and so then I can focus on the medicine. So hopefully, obviously the intake process is different because you're meeting all new patients who haven't had a doctor in 10 years. So those appointments are longer. But as the system, in the clinic improves and develops, then I think we would have more time to see more patients because you have so many people that would help you do your job.
Right, so when you're on your own, you can see so many patients, but here you have like the nurse practitioners who can help take on some of the load as well.
Absolutely. You know, and I think the nurse practitioners are really quite a benefit to this province. Some very experienced nurse practitioners have joined me in the CTC East, and I'm very honored to stand by their side.
And the role of a nurse practitioner in the clinic is another topic we plan to explore as our coverage of this new healthcare model continues. Meanwhile, a local group that represents hundreds of family practice doctors says one way to attract more doctors is to offer more options for delivering care, such as combining a collaborative team environment with a fee-for-service compensation.
You know, having a number of different options to choose from would be more enticing for physicians, you know, to have a choice of how to practice. Not every, you know, we also like to have autonomy and independence in how we work, and you know, some physicians might would like to have be able to access a nurse from Eastern Health, but perhaps another physician would like to, you know, perhaps I would like to hire my own nurse, you know, so it just gives a lot more flexibility as well.
All right, that's done. Taxes are paid. The tax deadline is looming. Maybe you haven't got yours done yet. Don't panic. We've got some advice for you, some tips. Stay tuned. Well, now Here and Now presents a public service for tax filing procrastinators. And yes, Ashley Brawweiler, I'm talking to you. Carolyn and I, we've got family assistance, but maybe some of you don't. Some viewers might want some help. The Canada Revenue Agency deadline, that is imminent, and maybe you're panicking a little bit. Well, take some deep breaths. We have some advice for you. Joining me now is CRA spokesperson Dawn Kennedy. So, Ms. Kennedy, give me some of your best advice for people who are trying to get it all done before the deadline.
Okay, well, there's still time for the deadline. The deadline this year is May 2nd. So even if you don't have your taxes filed, you can still do them online. There's lots of free software. You can purchase your own software. If you have a modest income and a simple tax situation, you can get a volunteer to help you through the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program. So I would say don't panic. There's still time. We can still get it done before the deadline.
So with some COVID work practices still in effect, most people, they need to go to CRA's website to get this kind of information, or are they actually dealing with a real person on the phone? How does it work?
Yeah, well, for COVID payments, you would have received a T4A. So it's just a regular slip, just like any other slip you would get to show what income you had for the year. And most people have received those in the mail already. If you have signed up for the online service, access to CRA's My Account, you can actually log in and go in and make sure all that information is there as well. And that's really all you need. You just need to know how much money you earned, how much tax was taken out, and you just need to add that to your tax return as you would any other income that you've earned. So, and you can still call in if you need help as well.
Okay. Just to clarify, who's eligible to get, a living, breathing person help them do their taxes?
Yeah, so the free program we have is called the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program. And anybody with a modest income, so a single person, that would be someone under $35,000, earning $35,000 a year, and as a couple, under $45,000 a year. And the amount goes up then, depending on how many children you have.
Right.
If your tax situation is simple, and by simple we mean you could have working income, you could be a student, you could be a senior, you could be a newcomer coming in and have little or no income because you've just arrived. You could be someone with a disability and have, maybe some income coming in, maybe someone on social assistance or EI. Those are all considered simple tax situations, and you can be helped by the volunteer program for those.
Okay, now, Dawn, I think everybody knows in the last tax year, CERB and COVID and the complexity are a lot of our T4s, for many people, they didn't look the same as in previous years. How does CERB complicate or make things different this tax year?
It actually doesn't make it any different than any other year, except you have to keep an eye out for that extra slip. So most people who were working would have received a T4. And if they had other income from COVID payments, for example, it's just a reminder to keep an eye out for that T4A slip.
Last question for you. For people who live out around the Bay, parts of Labrador, maybe who don't have reliable computer access, what options are there for them?
There are still lots of individuals who want to mail in a tax return. You can do that as well. So anybody without internet access can mail it in. But we do have that free program we mentioned, the Volunteer Income Tax Program. This year and last year, due to COVID, volunteers are able to do that virtually. So if you do call into the program and you qualify, a volunteer can still send it for you over the internet, even if you don't have access.
Okay.
And there's one other thing too, Anthony.
Sure.
Some seniors would have already received a letter, and that letter would have given them a phone number to call in because they qualify to have their tax return done over the phone. So if you did get one of those letters, by all means call in and it can be done for you over the phone.
Okay, perfect. Now I'm assuming, Dawn, you've done yours?
I have.
Good. I had to check. I'd be surprised if you said no. Listen, appreciate all the advice. Thanks a lot for your time this evening.
We really appreciate it. Thanks so much and have a great day.
You too.
Some good advice in there. Well, today is the National Day of Mourning for workers injured or killed on the job. According to Workplace NL, 18 people died in the province in 2021. That makes 79 work-related deaths in the last 3 years. The province's Federation of Labor held a ceremony at the Vivarium today in St. John's, saying there's still more work to be done to ensure the safety of workers.
The Day of Mourning is the most solemn day for all of us in the labor movement. It is a time where we recognize those who went to work as they do day in, day out, and yet somehow they don't return. Workplace NL informs us that 18 workers died in Newfoundland and Labrador in 2021. The 79 candles on the tables represent workplace fatalities that occurred in Newfoundland and Labrador over the past 3 years. We all know that one is too many, so it is important that the message coming from the day of mourning is called to action, to double down our efforts to ensure all workplaces are safe and healthy, across the board, provincially, nationally, and globally. More has to be done to address and improve occupational health and safety.
West Ray disaster. This year marks 30 years of that brutal explosion that took the lives of 26 miners. From the ages of 22 to 56. On May the 8th, when those folks went in that mine, like a lot of folks that work shift work, they packed their lunch and they kissed their loved ones. Sorry. They went underground to not see daylight ever again. For what? For profit for the employer. Not every employer cares about your well-being. Hard to say. Not every employer is going to protect you that you go home every day.
We've given everybody a ribbon, and in memory of all loss at work, we'd like you to put the ribbon on the tree. As you can see, there's 9 on this one and 9 on that one, and that's to remember the 18 lives that were lost in the past year.
A major change regarding blood donations in this country. Today, Health Canada lifted its ban on blood donations from gay and bisexual men who have sex with other men. The Prime Minister says it took years, dozens of studies, and millions of dollars to get here.
It is frustrating that it took this long. Implementation should be done by the fall, hopefully. But this is good news for all Canadians. Our blood supply will continue to be safe, and we're doing away with a discriminatory blanket ban.
And just a reminder, there is a significant need for blood in Newfoundland and Labrador these days, so if you can donate, please do so. Now, today's announcement was significant for MP Seamus O'Regan, who says confidence in the Canadian blood supply will be upheld, but now it will be done without discrimination.
I am especially happy today that running assumptions about who I am and what I do, running assumptions no longer apply. Now each of us are afforded the benefit of the doubt, and each of us must answer to the same questions.
right, time for the long range forecast, which means we get to see what's happening this weekend.
Yeah.
How are things looking?
Well, unsettled, unfortunately. We've been talking about this blocking pattern for most of this week, and that's going to continue as we head through the weekend, unfortunately. Let's take a look at what's going on. So this area of low pressure that's going to move in tonight, that's bringing all that rain already to the west coast, and the snow for Labrador is generally going to continue. It's going to head to the south and get essentially blocked there through most of the weekend. As you can see, that snow for Labrador, and then eventually we'll see some more periods of rain through the day on Saturday for the island. Now, in the higher elevations, as the temperatures cool down a little bit, we're still looking at the potential for some flurries as well, particularly for at least the first half of the morning on Saturday, and then as we get into the evening hours, it does look like the precipitation will just be showers through the day or through the night. And then Labrador again, as that system tracks a little bit further north, it's going to pull that rain snow line with it. So most of southeastern Labrador will be seeing some showers through a good chunk of the day. Temperatures will be somewhere between 4 to 8 degrees through the afternoon. And then up across Labrador, nice day for Lab City with that temperature hovering around 0 degrees and some sunshine. Nain will be a bit cooler, -3. So all the activity will be south of that for you on Saturday. Now, through Sunday, Saturday night into Sunday, we actually should see some clearing for the Avalon, it does look like, into the afternoon hours because the low will track a little bit further north, but still looking at that potential for some showers and or flurries again in those higher elevations for the west coast. And then southeastern Labrador and central Labrador will see that snow generally continue as well. Now, we're talking accumulation somewhere between now and Sunday, somewhere between 10 to as much as 20 centimeters possible, particularly in those higher elevations, because the temperatures will potentially lead to some showers mixing in with that. So it'll bring down those accumulations. We're looking at between 1 to 4 degrees for southeastern Labrador, another nice day across the rest of the Big Land, and then that temperature reaching the double digits for St. John's at this point. Still have that in there, still hoping for that, but some sunshine in there. And then for Monday and Tuesday, looking gray, back to the unsettled conditions, dry at this point, but back down to between 5 to 7 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at those gray skies continuing with the chance of showers or drizzle. Anywhere from 5 to 7 degrees is your daytime highs. Overnight lows staying above 0 as well, just barely. And then for western Newfoundland, by the time we get into Tuesday, it looks like we could see some breaks of sun, peaks of sun, and your temperature into the double digits. Now for eastern Labrador, we're looking at some flurries in the morning on Sunday, maybe on Monday as well, at least for the first half of the day with some clearing skies by Tuesday. Looking at temperature near 9 degrees, then warming up quite nicely for Lab West after the snow that we're seeing. Look at that, nice some sunshine and about double digits by the time we get to Tuesday. Had to share this photo. We've been talking an awful lot about the fog, but it does make everything mystical.
Oh, wow. What a great shot.
Yeah, Natalie shared this lovely shot. This was Signal Hill earlier today.
Right, so right down the middle through there is the city.
Yeah.
It's the city, yeah. Just
Hidden in the fog. And we had that time lapse earlier in the show tonight, which was really neat. And so this is kind of the opposite perspective from that, looking towards the town.
See, I see those clouds in the background too. I love clouds. They make them look so beautiful.
Gorgeous, great shot.
Pretty lovely, yeah. Well, that's it for us tonight. Thank you for spending part of your night with us.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.